Hello, everyone. Usually on Wednesdays, we do SAT prep in geometry and some small topic in Algebra 1. But since I'm not in class today, I thought we would have a little fun with some logic puzzles. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to solve a logic puzzle in this video, and I'm going to give you some strategies for how you can solve one yourself. And then I have a couple more in Google Classroom that you can solve on your own. So with that being said, I have a logic puzzle here called Three Dog Fight, and we're going to try to solve it in this video. So each logic puzzle comes with a story, a number of clues, and kind of this grid that you have to answer. So with that being said, let's read the story and see what this puzzle's about. Rover, Fido, and Pepper were a Beagle, Poodle, and Doberman who enjoyed competing with each other. First, they had a contest to see who could make the most barks in a minute. They barked 247, 198, and 137 barks. Next, they had an ear scratching contest, and they scratched 123, 103, and 77 scratches in a minute. Finally, they took a census of their flea populations and discovered that they had 110, 63, and 47 fleas. Based on the clues, match the dogs with their breeds, number of barks, scratches, and fleas. So we have 4 clues, and then we have to match Rover, Fido, and Pepper with dog breed, number of barks, number of scratches, and number of fleas. So with that being said, what I like to do is I like to keep notes. So I'm going to keep notes on this notepad right here, and I'm going to make a category for each one. So we have breed, we have barks, scratches, and fleas. And now let's take a look at the first clue. So it says here that if I subtract Rover's barking total from the Beagle's barking total, I can determine the flea population of the Doberman. So Rover is the name of a dog, and Beagle is one of the breed types. So they also have a category for barking right here. So what they're saying is they're saying that 2 of these numbers subtracted is going to be equal to one of the flea populations. And since there are only 3 numbers, there's only 3 combinations. So let's work those out and see if any of these subtraction problems equal the flea population. So let's start by doing 247 minus 198, and that's going to be 49. Okay, and then I cross-reference down here, and 49 is not one of the options. Let's do the next one. 247 minus 137, and that's going to be 110. And then I look down here, and 110 is one of the flea populations. So that looks promising, and then we'll do the third one. We have 198 minus 137, and that's going to be 61. And then I look down here, and 61 is not an option either. So the key here is that this middle one here. And this provides me with a lot of information. So in order to fill in some of my categories here, I have to look back at the clue. So it says here, subtract Rover's barking from the Beagle's barking. All right, so it looks like the Beagle will have the larger barking total. So the Beagle is going to be equal to 247 barks. And then the Rover's barking total is going to be equal to 137. And when we subtract the Rover from the Beagle, we get the Doberman's flea population of 110. Right. So actually, I can fill one of my circles in here because they gave me this. This Rover Rover is 137. So if I scroll down to the number of barks, Rover will be 137 barks. And now we can go to the next clue. So here, Doberman's 110, but I don't know which dog is the Doberman yet. And then the Beagle's 247 barks, but I don't know which dog is the Beagle. The Beagle will either be Fido or Pepper, so we'll need more information on that. All right, clue number 2 says here, Fido was not a poodle. Okay, so Fido is not a poodle. All right, and Fido did not bark the most. Okay, so Fido is not a poodle, and Fido did not bark the most. So let's go back to our barking here. So it says here, we already know that Rover barked 137 times. We know the Beagle's 247, but Fido is not a poodle and did not bark the most. So here we have Fido is not 247. So Fido has to be 198. And then we also know that Fido is not a poodle. Well, process of elimination here. We know Pepper is 247, right? Because that's the only one left. So Pepper, we know a couple things. One, we know that Pepper is equal to the Beagle. And we know Pepper barked 247 times. Okay. And I think that's all we can gauge from that clue. All right, clue number 3 here. It says the dog with the most fleas did not scratch the most. So the dog, well, all right, so the dog with the most fleas, I think that's the Doberman. Yeah, the Doberman has the most fleas. So the Doberman all right, the Doberman did not scratch the most. So the dog with the most fleas did not scratch the most. And Pepper has more fleas than Rover. So Pepper has more fleas than Rover. Well, wait a second. We know that Pepper is the Beagle, right? So down here, we know that Doberman is equal to 110 fleas. Pepper has more fleas than Rover. So we know that Pepper is equal to 63. And we know that because the Doberman has taken up the 110 flea spot. Pepper is Pepper is greater than Rover. Well, there's only 2 spots left. So we know that Pepper is 63, and we know that Pepper is 63, and then we know that Rover is 47 fleas. So we can fill that in. Pepper is 63 and Rover is 47. which leaves Fido at 110, right? So we know that the Doberman is now Fido, right? So we know dog breed wise, Fido is the Doberman. So let's fill that in. So we got the fleas done, and we know that Fido is the Doberman, which leaves us Rover being the poodle. Okay, so we have that one done. We have the number of barks done. And we have the number of fleas done. We just need the number of scratches here. Only thing we know right now is the Doberman did not scratch the most. So all we know, the Fido is not 123. So it could be 103, it could be 77. Let's get our last clue and see if we can find out the last piece here. It says the Beagle scratched the least. Okay, so the Beagle scratched the least. So we know the Beagle is Pepper. So, and now we know the Pepper is 77. The Doberman did not scratch the most. Well, that means the Doberman is in the middle. So the Doberman is 103. We also know that the Doberman is Fido. And then lastly, we know that it's Pepper, Fido, and Rover. Rover was the most at 123, and now we can fill that in. So Rover is 123, Fido is 103, and Pepper is 77. So now we can just confirm our answers here. The breed, we have Pepper is the Beagle, Fido is the Doberman, and Rover is the Poodle. Barks, Pepper was the most, Fido was in the middle, and Rover was 137. Scratches, we have Rover at 123. We have Fido at 103 and Pepper the least, 77. And then number of fleas, we have Fido at 110, Pepper at 63, and Rover at 47. So it looks like we were able to solve this puzzle. You'll notice some of the strategies I used is I categorized each thing I was trying to find, and then anything that was pertinent to that category, I would put it under that heading. And then that allowed me to work backwards. So if you go into Google Classroom, you'll find 2 additional logic puzzles that you can try. Good luck.